Today we're going to be taking a look at simplifying radicals. We've kind of touched on it a little bit a little earlier in this semester, but we're going to get into it a little more detail because in the next unit we're going to be taking a look at ratios, and we're going to have to simplify some stuff. We're going to have to solve some equations and just do some different skills in it. So I want to take the day to make sure that we are really good at simplifying radicals, doing the factories, pairing things up, and things of that nature. So I got a few problems up here, and we'll probably end up doing a couple more just so that we have plenty of example problems to take a look at. So the title for today is Simplifying Radicals. So let's start with the square root of 12. The first thing you want to do is do a factor tree. Okay. As we know by now, it really doesn't matter when you do your factor tree, if you want to start with 3 and 4, 6 and 2. It doesn't really matter as long as you start with two things that multiply to give you 12. So I'm going to do 3 and 4. I need to break 4 down because 4 is not a prime number. 4 is a composite number, meaning it has multiple factors beside the number 1 and the number 4. So I'm going to break this down to 2. When you're doing any of these simplifying radical problems, pairs go on the outside and everything else goes on the inside. So I'm looking for 2 of the same number. So since I have 2 of the same number, in this case, the actual number 2, 2 goes on the outside and everything else goes on the inside. So this is our final answer. 2 times the square root of 3 is the simplified form of the square root of 12. All right, number 20. Problem 2, but the number is 20. We're going to break this down. I can do 5 and 4. I can do 10 and 2. Got some different options in there. I'm going to do 10 and 2. We need to break 10 down into prime numbers. I'm looking for 2 of the same number. And it won't always be 2. 2 is just the smallest prime number first and foremost, and it goes into all the even numbers. So 2 is going to come up somehow. So that's why we've been getting a lot of 2s so far. But this goes on the outside, and prime number goes on the inside. So the square root of 20 is 2 times the square root of 5. Now, so far, I've only had one pair and one prime number left over. One pair, one prime number left over. But you can have multiple pairs and multiple prime numbers. If you had multiple pairs, you would multiply the pairs, and that still goes on the outside. And if you had multiple prime numbers left over, they would still go on the inside, and you would multiply that. So I do have some examples coming up of that. All right. Number 3, we're going to break down the square root of 48. So 48, lots of different things. I'm going to do 8 and 6. When I break down 8, let's go ahead and break it all the way down. Prime numbers. Break down 4, 2 and 2. Break down 6, 3, and 2. If you started with something else besides 48, maybe you want to do 12 and 4. Okay, maybe you want to do 2 and 24. Doesn't matter where you start your branches off, as long as you start with 2 things and multiply to give you the number at the top. Now, I do see multiple pairs for this. This is a pair. So 2 2s. This is another pair. Okay. I have multiple pairs. They both go on the outside of your radical. Radical is just another name for the square root, so they both go on the outside. So this 2 is going to come down, and this 2 is going to come down. So I got pairs. And prime number left over is 3. I multiply this so that my final answer is 4 square root 3. So that would be my final answer. So if you have multiple pairs, just put those on the outside of your square root, on the outside of your radical, and then prime numbers go on the inside. All right, let's take a look at 90. Probably 10 and 9 would be the easiest thing to start with, and probably the thing that pops into your brain the most often. You can do 45 and 2 if you want to. 10 is going to give me 5 and 2, and 9 is going to give me 3 and 3. Prime numbers. So prime numbers, only factors are 1 and whatever that number is. So 1 times 5, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 3 gives us that number back. So break it all the way down to prime numbers. Now I see some pairs, 3s line up. That's the only pair that I see, so that's going to go on the outside of my radical, which is your square root. I have 2 other numbers left over that do not have a pair to go with it, and that's okay. So they're going to go on the inside, and we're going to multiply that. 5 and 2. So my final answer is 3 square root 10. So my final answer is 3 times the square root of 10. All right, I wanted to do 2 more. So that's number 4. Number 5, I wanted to break down the square root of 72. And then number 6, I think I had a big number, 810. 810. All right, so let's do 72. So when I break down 72, I'm going to start with 9 and 8. Break down 9, that's 3 times 3. Break down 8, that's 2 and 4. Break down 4. I'm looking for pairs. So 2 2s, 2 7s, 2 9s, 2 whatever. I'm looking for pairs. So I got a pair of 2s there, and I got a pair of 3s here. Both of these pairs go on the outside of my square root. So on the outside of the square root, I have 2 times 3 because those are the 2 pairings that I have up there. And then my leftover prime number is the number 2. Multiply this, we got 6 square root 2. So it could be 2 7s, 2 10s, 2 9s. You're just looking for 2 of the same number. And last but not least, 810 is a really big number, so we're going to go ahead and break this down. I'm going to start with 81 and 10. Feel free to use Desmos or some sort of calculator to help you break your numbers down if you don't have the factors coming to you at the top of your head. This is going to give me 9 and 9. This is going to give me 3, 3, 3, 3. And it's going to give me 2 and 5. So clearly I see a whole bunch of pairs that I have going on here. So I see a pair of 3s here. And I also see a pair of 3s right here. So both of those pairs are going to go on the outside of our square root. So I got a 3 and I got a 3. And the leftover prime numbers is this number 2 and this number 5 where I'm pointing at. So a 2 and a 5. So that's going to go on the inside. 2 times 5. And then I multiply this. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 5 is 10. So our final answer is 9 square root of 10. Again, bringing this skill up again because it's going to come up as we get into some special kind of right triangles next week. So I just want to make sure you're good to go and had enough practice.